Welcome back to the RW podcast. It has been a minute, and I have my reoccurring guest, Hopeful Ballistics, with me. Thanks so much for coming on today, Hopeful Ballistics. How are you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me.
We've talked about this topic for quite some time. We're both kind of into video games, and there's something a little popular called like ranking with a tier list, and it usually goes S as in basically the best, then A, B, C. So tonight, what I wanted to do was let's go ahead and rank cartridges. How we're going to do it, we're going to have our own little personal taste to it. We're going to rank them by their reputation, their popularity, and the influence in the cartridge world. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. Let's go.
We've got the list up already, and I have 30 cartridges. I'm sorry if one of your favorite cartridges is not on the list. As far as the tier list, we are only going to go down to a C because we don't really have any completely dead cartridges or really bad cartridges we're going to be ranking. I think it would just take too long. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree.
So let's just start from the top. We're going to start with 22 caliber, and we'll start with 223 Remington. Hopeful Ballistics. Where would you rank this one?
It's got to be S tier. I don't have a ton of experience. It's not my personal favorite. I definitely have shot them. I've shot other people's ARs. It's a utilitarian cartridge. It is basically every platform that you could want it to be in. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but it's just got to be S tier.
Sadly, I agree. You know what? I do love 223. Like, who doesn't love shooting an AR-15? Because of the military side and because of the varmint, and basically this cartridge is the most popular cartridge in the world, I have to put it in an S tier. It performance-wise, there's a lot that beat it, but because of its reputation in the military and in the civilian market, it's going to be S tier for me. Let's go ahead and move on to 22-250 Remington. Where are you putting this one?
I have a lot more personal experience with it. I really like the cartridge. I'm going to say it's an A. The thing that hinders it with me is the twist rate. Now, it's not a big deal, but, really about 60 grain bullet, you're just pretty well topped out. And so you just don't have a wide range of bullet options. And as a reloader, I kind of like that. I like to shoot light bullets and heavy bullets. But for a varmint cartridge, it's a powerhouse. It's a speed demon, and I definitely give it an A.
I'm going to have to agree with you on this one. When you think of varmint cartridge, there's only one cartridge that comes to mind for me, and it's 22-250 Remington. So I don't think it's popular enough to be S tier, but I think it's definitely deserves to be at least A. So that's where I'm putting it. Let's move on to 243 Winchester. Can you go ahead and start this one off? I don't have the highest. I might be voting this one a little lower than you.
It's an S tier for me. Growing up, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but then the more I researched about it, the better I liked it. It's fun to hand load for. It's a great dual purpose cartridge, deer, coyotes. It's extremely popular. Anytime I do a video on 243, I get comments from Australia and Europe. I mean, everyone loves it. It's mild shooting. It's very popular. It's got to be an S tier.
Well, I kind of want to put it in a B tier. I have one, and I just don't really care for it. It's accurate, too. This one's tough, Hopeful Ballistics. I don't know where to put this because I'm going to get a lot of hate for not putting this in an S tier or even an A tier.
Well, I said S and you said B, so I guess that'd be A, right?
Yeah, maybe we should just compromise a little. Let's go on to 25-06. Where are you putting this one?
Now, I'm going to get some hate on this one. I don't know. I'm going to say B. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good cartridge. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. If I really want a super fast, flat shooting 25 caliber, I would go with the 257 Weatherby. Obviously, okay. It has a great case. It's the 30-06 case, just neck down to 25 caliber. But I mean, I just would prefer a 270 over it, and I would prefer a 30-06 over the 270. So I'm just going to say B.
It is one of the most underrated cartridges. I hope it's gets a resurgence and just becomes really popular. But for now, I have to put it at a B. And let me scroll down and put it in a B. This is one of my favorites. I remember people trying to convince me to get it, and I finally got it. And well, I fell in love with it. And so I'm not going to put the 257 Weatherby as an S tier cartridge. It's just not popular enough. So I'm going to put it as an A. And I think that might be a little high as a Weatherby cartridge, putting it in the A tier. What do you think?
I would put it in the A tier as well. It's my favorite Weatherby cartridge. It's really the only one I've shot a whole lot. Once again, if I want that caliber going extremely fast, that's the one I'm going to go with.
Let's get to the cartridge. Let's just get this over with. The 6.5 Creedmoor. This is going to surprise people. I feel like I have to put it as an S tier cartridge just because of its popularity and an influence. It has been very influential in the last 10 plus years it's been around. Skyrocketed and somehow beat the 308 Winchester out in popularity. I just have to put it in the S tier. I'm not that impressed with its performance, but the other two, yeah, it's an S tier cartridge.
This is interesting. I don't disagree with anything you said, and I think I probably like the cartridge more than you do, but yeah. I don't think it's an S tier. I would say B tier.
Whoa.
But okay. I definitely like it, and I don't disagree with the things that you said. I'm thinking of other cartridges on this list coming up, and I just think, it's got to be B.
We're just going to compromise with it is an A tier cartridge. Okay, let's go to the 6.5 Swede. I don't have much of an opinion on this cartridge. Maybe it's because I'm American and I just don't care for 6.5 at all. At best, I'm going to put this at a B tier. Historically, yeah, it should be higher. What are your thoughts on the 6.5?
Well, it's right there in performance with the Creedmoor. Probably actually edge out a little bit more velocity with your hand loading. As long as it's been around, I'm going to give it an A. I think it beats the Creedmoor in a lot of ways. If it was so in America, it's not that popular, but I get comments all the time on YouTube from other countries where it is extremely popular, and I think we would feel differently if it was as popular over here. But I think it edges out the Creedmoor. I'm going to give it an A.
Just so I don't get a ton of hate from the Europeans, I'll put it in A tier. So, all right, let's go to your favorite cartridge, if I remember correctly, the 6.5 284 Norma. Go ahead and introduce this one.
I'm thinking S, of course, but having said that, it's probably an A. On performance, to me, it's a for sure S. I love the case design. I love everything about it, but it's just not popular. So performance-wise, it's an S tier, but I'd say overall, I'm going to give it an A.
You're going to hate where I want to put this, but I'm saying it's a solid B. I mean, it's up there because of the design, the history of it being a target cartridge, how influential it was there. It is not popular at all. I'm sorry, Hopeful Ballistics. We're putting this on B. Let's go on to 6.5 PRC. We can go back and change these. So if we're not liking the way it looks, I know you're not right now for the 6.5 284, but what do you got for 6.5 PRC?
Performance-wise, it's identical to the 6.5 284. In some cases, it might have a little bit more velocity. The filming of this video, it's a lot more popular, and it's gaining in popularity. We don't know if it'll have staying power 20 years from now, but I'm assuming that it will. I'm going to put it right there with the 6.5 284. It's an A.
I think you're ranking these really high. I'm going to have to go with a B tier just because it could be a flash in the pan. You know what I mean? We don't know how much of a staying power it has. I also think it underperforms a lot. You have to have a 26-inch barrel. More adamant about putting this one a B tier than the 6.5 284. Yeah. Let's move on to 6.5 300. I'm curious to where you would put this one.
Going to make a lot of your fans mad here, I think. I just don't know anything about this cartridge. I'm sorry. I just don't. Performance-wise, it's awesome, right? I mean, you're getting that bullet going crazy fast, tons of energy. You're out there in a hunt, and you got a little bit longer range shot. I could see it being really nice to have, but it's a barrel burner, in my opinion. It's just too much. It's just so overboard. I'm sorry, but I'm going to give it a C. I'm sorry.
Hopeful. I am not mad at all. You know how much I hate 6.5s. I am totally fine putting it in a C. So we're putting it in a C tier.
Oh boy.
Performance-wise, it's S tier. It's probably going to be one of the lower-rated Weatherby cartridges that I have. But hey, speaking of overrated, let's go on to the 270 Winchester. I am curious to where you're going to put this one.
It's a good cartridge. It's
Really
been
good.
a good cartridge for a long time. I'm just thinking of some other ones on this list. It's got to be a B tier to me. I like it a little bit better than the 25-06. To me, it's nowhere near the 30-06. And I know there's incredible fan base for the 270, and rightly so. It's a great cartridge. It's just this list is our subjective opinion. There's just no way to get around that. So I'm just going to give it a B.
Wow. I'm going to go straight to A. This cartridge, I would agree with. I think we could compromise and say it's a B plus. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's close to an A. I mean, it's so
or an A minus. It's kind of an oddball cartridge in an oddball caliber, but it has such a loyal fan base and it gets the job done. It's kind of reminds me of a future cartridge we're going to talk about. Yeah, I kind of have to put it in an A tier. Let's go ahead.
Our only one that's in the S tiers is the 223 so far. Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy. I mean, the S tier is special, so it needs to be special cartridges. 270 Winchester Short Magnum. Where are you putting it, Hopeful Ballistics?
Well, I personally like it a lot better than the 270, but I can't go higher than the 270 because of the popularity with the 270 is so much more than the 270 Short Mag. And I know this because I try to get brass, I try to get ammo, and it's a struggle. But performance-wise, I love the cartridge, but I'm going to have to go right there. I guess I'm going to give it a B, but I want to give it an A so bad. But I guess to be fair to the other things I've said, I'm going to give it a B.
Okay, you're going to hate this. I'm sorry, man. This thing's dead. I'm putting it at a C. Performance-wise, it's good. It's so efficient, and we'll talk about more about the short magnums when we come up to the 300. But due to its lack of popularity, I have to put it into C.
Should have gave it an A to balance it out.
The next one, the improved version of the 270 WSM. Can I go first?
Sure.
As I have loaded for this and I have shot this, it's won my heart over. When I first started my channel, I thought it was a crappy cartridge. It was pretty mediocre, and it was a dead cartridge, which it is dead. Well, almost dead. I do think it's going to come back to more popularity, seeing how it compares to the 7P or C. I'm going to put this just because of pure performance and design, not the A. Sorry. We are going to do the B category.
It's very similar to the 6.5-284 on the performance. It's an S tier. Overall, I'm going to say an A tier just because it's not popular, mainly because certain companies will not produce rifles or ammo for it. Performance-wise, it's an S. Overall, I'm going to say an A.
Well, I'm feeling lazy. I'm not going to move it. Let's do 270 Weatherby.
It's a good cartridge. I'm going to throw it right in there with the 270 WSM and the normal 270. Give it a B ranking.
I think it's one of the most underrated Weatherby cartridges. Honestly, it matches the 6.5 300 Weatherby in a much smaller case. That should deserve it at least above the 6.5 300. So I'm going to put it in a B as well. Let's go on to the 7mm 08 Remington.
It's got to be an A. Well, I'm tempted to say S, but I'm going to say A. I don't think it's popular enough. Doesn't have the reputation as the 223, for instance, to get it up there. But it's an outstanding cartridge, super efficient, good all around, and it is popular. It does have a cult following. So I'm going to say A.
I'm going to say ditto. Let's go A. That's something we can agree on. I think you could argue it could be a B tier category. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going A. Let's go to 280 Ackley Improved. I'll start. I think performance-wise and design-wise, this is one of the best S tier cartridges. However, this is not a popular cartridge, and it is difficult to find in rifles and ammo. I'm going to put it as an A.
Same. It's right there with what I've said about the 6.5 284 and the 6.8 Western. I think you nailed it.
Let's go to the classic, the 7 Rem Mag.
It's got to be an A. It's just an outstanding hunting cartridge and has been for a long, long time. It's not my favorite 7mm, but man, it's good and it's extremely popular. It probably borders on S tier.
Wow. Are we going to have any S tier cartridges other than 223?
Yeah, this ain't going like I thought it was going to go. Thanks for being very honest, though.
I've always called it the baby Magnum, and it has, I think it is one of the more overrated cartridges. I'm going to have to say it's an S tier cartridge. It has quite the following. It has quite the reputation. I'm going to put it in S tier. I hope you're okay with that.
Yeah, I was bordering between S and A.
I'll go ahead and lead away with the 7PRC. I'm going to try not to be as biased as possible with this one. I'm being extremely favorable when I say this is a B minus at best.
I think its design is incredible. I just think it was overhyped, very similar to the 6.5 Creedmoor being overhyped. And so pendulum swings one way, then it swings the other way. It's not as good as the hype, but it's really, really good. I've said in a video in the past, if I could design a cartridge, this is when it first came out. If I could design a cartridge, it would look just like that. I'm going to say A tier.
I'm going to have to completely disagree with you on design. For whatever reason, I think this cartridge is not very well designed, but that could be another topic for another video. I'm going to keep it as a B tier. There's no way I'm putting it in an A tier because of the overhype. Let's go on to 28 Nosler. Go ahead.
I am torn. I'm going to say A. I was going to go B just because it's just the barrel life is short. It's not extremely popular. It's definitely the most popular of the Nosler cartridges. But I really like the design. I think it's an A. You know, it's a step up from your 7 Rim Mag as far as performance. Pretty good cartridge. I'm going to say A.
I was leaning towards B plus, but I think you convinced me. I think I'm going to go A. It is definitely a step up from the 7 Rem Mag and the 7 PRC. No question. It smokes both of them. So, yeah, it is the fast 7mm. So I'm good with A. This is one of your favorite cartridges, so I'm going to have you lead the way on this one.
I can't see it. Which one
is it? We're going to go 308 Winchester.
It's S tier for sure. If you take it for what it is, if you don't try to make it a 300 Win Mag, you know, if you understand its limitations, it's an S tier. Its history as a military cartridge, its current popularity as an everything cartridge, hunting, competition. As a person who reloads for it, I just keep finding great loads. It's inherently accurate. I could go on and on and on, but easily S tier.
I'm going to have to agree with you. Just think of its children. Influential, reputation, popularity. It used to be the most popular bolt action cartridge. Yeah, it has to go in S tier. It comes really close to matching a 30-06 with a lot more efficiency. Yeah, it has to be S tier. It's not my favorite, but give its due. Okay, so let's go to 30-06. Go ahead.
S tier for sure. You know, it's kind of the same thing as the 308. More powder, a little bit better performance. Definitely geared toward the heavier bullets if you're a reloader. If you just buy the factory ammo, it's not always that much better than 308 because they kind of water it down because you could be shooting it out of a rifle for 120 years old. But it's an amazing cartridge. World War I, World War II. I mean, just hunting worldwide. Still popular to this day. Easily S tier.
30-06 has to go there. It is jack of all trades. It is the cartridge that all other cartridges are compared to. Yeah, it has to be S tier for me. Let's move on to 300 Winchester Short Magnum.
I'm going to say S tier again, and I don't think you're going to agree with that. It's definitely not as popular. It's not even close to as popular as some of the last two we've mentioned, but is there an S minus? I guess not.
No.
It's an A plus or an S minus. I'm just going to say S.
So let me help you put this into the correct category for Hopeful Ballistics. Performance-wise, design of the cartridge, it might be the top of the list of S. However, popularity-wise, it's kind of floundered a bit. And It's still kicking around. It's definitely more popular than 270 short mag. I think we're giving its due respect for putting it in the A tier. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's a really good one. And I used to not like it at all. Turns out I wasn't using powder combination to get the velocity I wanted. So I've become a believer in the last 2 weeks of the 300 short magnum. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the next one, the 300 Win Mag. You might not like this, but I feel like it has to go into S tier. It is the 30 caliber Magnum. When you say 300 mag, you're not wondering if it's a 300 PRC or 300 Weatherby, or it is the 300 Winchester Magnum. It has taken game all across the world. For me, it has to be S tier. I don't think it's the best 30 caliber Magnum, but it's the one that everyone uses. Due to popularity, it has to go S tier for me.
I'm going to say A, but I don't disagree. It's really close to an S. As far as the popularity across the world as a hunting cartridge, I mean, it's right there at the top. I'm just thinking of the 308, the 30-06, and 300 short mag that I like better. And so it's hard for me to put it on that same category. But as far as popularity, yeah. I'm going to say
Okay.
A.
Let's go to my favorite cartridge. This one is hard for me not to put in the S tier. However, due to it being so niche and expensive, and for a lot of people, a little too much, I'm going to have to put it in the A tier. As far as performance goes, it's really hard to beat. Reputation is undeniable. It is an incredible cartridge. I'm going to put it A.
I would agree. I would say it's an A. It's not as popular because of the recoil. It's not going to be as widespread, but it's a great cartridge. I like it better than the 300 Winchester Magnum. If I was going to go for like that full length or that bigger size, it barely makes the A. I would say it's high B, low A, but it's a great cartridge. But compared to some of these other ones, I would say A.
Let's go on to the next Hornady cartridge. And in my opinion, the best Hornady cartridge, the 300 PRC. This one's tough for me. I want to put it in the B category because it's so new. And honestly, it has not caught on like the 6.5 PRC or the 7 PRC. But don't get me wrong, I do think each year it gets more and more popular. But due to its popularity, it's not catching up to 300 Win Mag anytime soon. I'm going to put it in the B category. And I guess bring on the Hornady lovers, and they're going to hate me. Whatever.
Either B or C. It's a cool cartridge. There's nothing wrong with it. It's cool. If you want to shoot those heavy bullets in 30 caliber, which is going to knock your arm off, it's geared for that. It'd be a great ELR cartridge. I just like the Win Mag and the Weatherby better. And of the PRC cartridges, I prefer the 6.5 or the 7. So I'm gonna say C. Oh boy.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy.
I think it's a solid B. The only thing holding this thing back is the lack of factory ammo. Speaking of a cartridge that you probably have zero interest in, I'm pretty sure you would rank this in a D if it was available. Let's go to 3378 Weatherby.
I'm gonna say C. It's kind of like the 6.5 300. You're not gonna shoot it very many times. You're just gonna shoot it a couple times to make sure it's sighted in, and then go hunt with it. And you're planning on shooting some at 500 or 600 yards. It just doesn't seem fun to me. I don't use muzzle brakes. I don't know. I just don't care anything about it. I'm sorry. It's just not my cup of tea. But I'm gonna give it a C.
So I don't know if you recognize this, but I did throw this one in there, and I took out the 7mm rum. Well, I love my Weatherby cartridges. I think this is a really good one, and it is the king of speed in 30 caliber. If I'm going to put the 6.5 300 at a C category, I'm going to have to put this one also in the C category, unfortunately. Let's go on to 338 Winchester Magnum.
I'm going to say it's a B. In a certain application, you're hunting moose or elk in Alaska, something like that. I mean, it could be a great cartridge. It could meet a specific niche that you have, and it could be a fantastic cartridge. I just don't think it's widespread. It has a lot of recoil. It's not in certain circles. It's very popular, but overall, it's not that popular compared to some of these other cartridges. I'm going to say B.
I think you're being very generous. And I think at one time this cartridge used to be an A tier, maybe 20 years ago. I don't know. I feel like since 2020, this cartridge has just died off completely. I'm leaning towards a C. I think it's a good cartridge. It's a great Alaskan cartridge, but I don't personally know anyone in the lower 48 that uses a 338 Win Mag. Do you?
No.
Well, out of respect, I'll put it in the B category. I do think it's a little high to be a B. 338 Lapua Magnum. Where are you putting this one?
Well, if you're into ELR, it's a great cartridge. I guess military use as well, long-range sniper cartridge, but it's a niche cartridge. It's just not widespread. I'm not trying to be mean to these cartridges or the people who or the fans of them, but I just don't care anything about it. I'm going to say C.
What? I was going to put it in the S tier.
Oh, wow. B plus.
So here's my thought. Any military cartridge that's been around for a while is going to get a bump for me. It's also a cartridge that it's got some major performance wise. It has S tier performance. Yeah, 338 is not popular at all. I've learned that with my 340 Weatherby, which is nice because I can get all the reloading equipment I want for it because it's popular enough to be on the shelf, but not popular enough to sell out ever. You said C, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Bare minimum for me, this is an A tier cartridge. I'll throw you one since I put your poor 6.5284 in this B tier. I'll put it in the B tier. Is that okay?
Alrighty.
35 Whalen. Where are you putting 35 Whalen?
It's a solid B. I'm close to an A. I mean, it's a good cartridge. It's underrated. You can do a lot with it. It's more versatile, I think, than most people realize. It's just not that common, not that popular. But I would say it's a B.
Due to it has a cult-like following, but overall, you just don't really see it. Performance-wise, it's very good. I want to put it in the B, but I'm leaning towards a C. Help me put this in a B.
When you got the 30-06 case, you've already started good.
Okay.
If you have like a 180 grain bullet in a 35 Whalen versus a 30-06, you're going to get a lot more velocity out of the 35 Whalen. Plus, you can go the heavier bullets too. So, I mean, it's a great hunting bullet. It's a great big game bullet. Moose, even, brown bear. Pretty versatile, and it's not going to have as much recoil as some of the bigger Magnums.
Let's go on to the granddaddy of them all, the 375 Holland & Holland. Where are you putting this one?
For reputation and just how much it's inspired, it's an S, but I'm going to say it's an A overall. If I were to get a trip to Africa and I was going to go on safari, that's the one I would probably get if I was going to do more than just plains game. It can take anything in the world, but it's not going to kill you like the Rigby or some monster cartridge. So many cartridges have been based off of it, and it's still popular over all this time. But I'm going to give it an A.
I'm going to give it an S. I feel like it has to be an S tier just because it is the granddaddy of almost all belted cartridges. And it is still popular to this day. The reputation is undeniable. I do think the performance is not as good as you would think it would be. For example, my 300 Weatherby has more energy. I know energy is not the end all be all, of course. That's an interesting to think about, right? With that being said, I got to give it its respect, its history, its reputation. This one's going in the S tier for me. Hopeful Ballistics, this has been fun. Thank you so much for coming on. I think we kind of got our list made up. We definitely disagreed on some things. Obviously, you want your 270 WSM higher. I want the 338 Lapua to be an S tier cartridge, but we make compromises.
I'm sure the guys in the comments will let us know where we went wrong.
Oh, I guarantee it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a great day.